Okay, I've managed to get both my single flange plates done now, and as you can see, I've skimmed this one up to size in 3-jaw chuck in my Harrison lathe, and I've faced it off to length, and I'm just doing the other one now, and I'll just zoom in and show you that. So that's a nice, not really tight, but it doesn't drop through the bore. It's a nice snug fit in the bore now. And I'm only taking very light cuts because I've only got the flange in the lathe gripped very lightly so I don't distort it. Oh, just a few more cuts to take off that, but it's getting late now and I've had enough for today, so I'll continue with this at a later time. Right then, I'm on to the next procedure now of my boiler which I'm making for my loco. It's the machining of the compound flanges. You've seen in my past videos where I've made formers and hammered these flanges on these compound flanges which are offset, and they both offset differently as I've explained. So I'm now ready for just machining bore and OD up to fit in my inner tube, my barrel and my outer firebox. So as you can see, I've skimmed the outside up. I've took roughly, I don't know, perhaps 1/15 thou off to get that nicely skimmed up. I've done the other one, which is in the lathe, as you can see, and that's fairly straightforward, really. I mean, because it's running concentric, you've just got to grip it on inside at flange with the jaws of your chuck, if you've got a chuck big enough, that is. If not, it'll have to be done on a faceplate. I'm lucky to have this Harrison lathe with a gap bed, so I can just manage to swing this inner throw to get it running through okay. I have got a Myford lathe, and I've offered it up roughly to Myford, and I think with a faceplate you can just manage to get it in a Myford. So right, so I've set this one up in chuck and I've just started to take a skim out of the bore. Now, because you've hammered this flange on, obviously there's a few irregularities in it. It feels fairly smooth, but when you put your DTI on it, needles flickering about all over the place. So you've just got to split the differences best you can to get it running as true as you can. And I'm only gripping on the very edge of this copper, and it's got me wooden spacer in the back of it so I don't squash the copper, and I'm gripping it on probably, I don't know, 3/16 of an inch, and I'm only gripping it very light, so I'm taking very light cuts, and I've got to run it at a slow speed because of the throw. So you need a really sharp tool to cut this, or it'll just chew it off, if that's the right expression. I'll just show you this running then, and I am using a boring bar to do it with, but I've just put a different tool in to angle my tool post so you can see better what I'm doing. And I've got a sharp tool in, still got a sharp tool in. So I'll just start that up and show you. So as you can see, I'm running fairly slow. I've got a fine feed on and I've got a sharp tool in, and I'm taking roughly, well, I'm probably taking about 4 or 5 thou at a time, because like I said, I'm only gripping on a very small amount of flange, and I'm only gripping lightly so I don't distort the outer flange that I've already done. But it seems to be cutting okay anyway. I'll just zoom into that for you. And then I'm just using my telescopic gauges to measure bore. And then I'm using my outside micrometer to measure gauge. And I've got roughly, well not roughly, I've got exactly 11th thou to come out that bore now. I've measured my outer tube up where it fits in, and I've got to get a nice snug fit onto that tube. So I'm going to continue with that now off camera, and I'll get all the one finished, then I'll show you everything finished. Right then, I've managed to get all my flanges machined up now. I'll just take this apart and show you where everything goes now. I've not done the outer firebox yet. I've got to cut along this seam and make it 8-inch diameter, and then put a riveter piece in there ready for silver soldering. So that'll be my outer firebox when it's complete. But just before that, these are the parts I've just been working on. I've got the front of the barrel flange plate fitted to a nice fit. That's got to have all its holes drilled in it yet. Then this is the throat plate, which I know you've heard me say many times, and perhaps it only comes into visualisation when it's all been put together perhaps, but that's my throat plate with its double flange on. The inner flange goes onto the barrel like so, and then this outer flange goes onto this outer tube, outer firebox like so, basically like that. And then this other piece I've been machining up today, this is the inner firebox. I've got the single flange blanking plate. Again, that's got to be drilled for all the fire tubes that goes through the barrel. So this is the inner firebox where the fire sits, and this is the backhead double flange plate which you've seen me making. that's all machined up now. And then what happens, this sits in at the bottom here with the offset at the bottom into that 8-inch tube, and then it's all silver soldered up and riveted and silver soldered up. So a bit difficult to show you it because it's not very stable at the moment, but there you go. That's best I can do at the moment till I've got this part made, then it'll all fit together nicely. So that's it for today. I've had enough today. I'm going to continue tomorrow and go on to my next little part which I've got to do. Okay, so my next job I'm doing on this project, I've got the outer firebox here, as you can see, and I've got to get this circumference to the correct circumference for these outer flanges, and it's a bit of a calculated guesswork job. I'm saying this is, I've got to adjust this length so that it fits on this flange and meets together. So how I'm doing it, I've got a couple of I call them jubilee clips fastened together to make my diameter up, and then I'm putting my flange in one side, and I'm tightening these clips up. And if you can see, it's going to pull the whole tube together. Like so, and if you can see there, it started to clamp it together. So let me get my mallet. I don't know if you can see that, it's just started to meet together, but I've got a little slight gap still going around it, so that means I've got to take another little cut off of this, and I'll show you how I'm doing that in my vise. So it's just a bit of calculated trial and error, this little part. On here there'll be a plate riveted on and then silver soldered. Okay then, so how I'm getting the outer firebox, which you can see in the vise here, to the correct circumference for these flanges that I've made. It's a bit of a calculated guesswork, this, to be honest. What I'm doing, I've got it set in my vise, clamped with some wood at either side to securely hold it, and I've calculated that I want approximately a 1/16 off, so that when I clamp it all together with the circular clamps that I've got, I want it to be able to meet exactly around that outer flange. So I've clamped a straight edge or a straight piece of metal to the outer firebox, like so, and I'm sawing and following that piece of metal, and then I'll just tittle it up with file, and then I'll retry it on the flange, and if it wants a little bit more, I'll put this piece of straight edge back on and either saw it or file it. Right, so I've been in and out of the vise a few times, probably 4 or 5 times, and each time I've put these bands round to check how much material to take out of this joint, and I've just about got it spot on now. So I've kept them in the separate pairs for each, not pairs, I've kept them in the separate flanges for each side in case they vary. So as you seen earlier, I went in vice and either sawn a bit off or filed a bit off or whatever off this joint. Anyway, I've got these clips round the outer fire tube now, squeezing it onto these flanges, and I've been round with my feeler gauges, and I'm working on, I think this is correct, 6 thou for soldered joints, no more than 6 thou, and I've been right round and I can't get 6 yet. So in the back head, let's do the back head first. I can't get 6 thou in anywhere. In the throat plate, I can't get 6 thou in until I get to there, and even then it's not going right through. But if I try an 8 thou feeler, I can't get 8 thou in. So at its worst it's 7 thou in just that particular place. So I'll just keep working on that until I get it right, like so. Now I don't know if this is the way you do it. I'm only a novice at this game. Well, this is the way I'm doing it anyway. So now I've got that little area there down to 7 thou. I'd like to get it to 6, but I'll just keep working on it. It's not too far away now. That's it, don't go right through now. So I have got it. I can't get my feeler gauge anywhere now with 6 thou in on either end. And if you look at the joint, you can see I've got a nice close fitting joint there. And what I shall be doing next, I'll make a filler, not a filler, a plate to fit on there, and then it'll be riveted on to keep that in position while it's soldered.